Hello, I'm Darren Mish, and the topic of today's video is the CP2000 notice from the IRS. What I decided to do today was create this video, and I'm actually going to put a copy of a sample CP2000 up on the screen so you can take a look at it. Now, of course, I've sanitized it, meaning I've taken out the actual taxpayer's name, social security number, their address, all that identifying information before we went ahead and scanned it into the computer so that you could take a look at it. The purpose of the video is so that you can see if your notice is a CP2000, and if it is a CP2000, what you can do about it. So let's take a look. Okay, so here's the notice, and you notice in the upper right-hand corner, it says Notice Number CP2000. So this is, in fact, obviously a CP2000, and again, I've sanitized the address information over here underneath this barcode, and their social security number under that heading. Now, what is a CP2000 notice? Well, a CP2000 notice is issued when the IRS thinks that there's a federal income tax return that either has underreported income, the taxpayer has taken excessive credits or deductions, or some combination of all three. And what they do is they issue this notice, and what they do, it actually documents what they feel your tax burden should be with penalties and interest. So you can see here on this notice that the proposed tax increase is $15,162 for tax year 2007. There's a penalty of $3,032 and interest of $948, proposing a total balance due of $19,142. So what do you do in this particular situation? Well, there's a couple different options. Let's go ahead and go towards the page, I believe this is page 3 of the form. And you can see here you have one of three options. Step A, and the step that the IRS would most rather have you pick, is option 1. I agree with all changes. They would like it very much if you would sign and date right there and send it back to the IRS. Now, personally, I can't imagine why you'd want to do this, but this is one thing that you could do. I guess you could do that so that if you did actually agree that you had made a mistake and you wanted to enclose a balance or check for the balance due, I guess that makes some sense. Option 2 is I do not agree with some of the changes, and you've enclosed documentation to support the entries on the original return. You would check this box here that says option 2. And option 3 is I do not agree with any of the changes, and I've enclosed documentation to support the entries on my original return. So typically what happens in our cases is we have an option 3 situation where the IRS has made an error of some sort, and like in this case, they've proposed a tax liability with the penalties and interest of $19,142. In this particular case, what has happened is there was an error in that this particular issue was this income was reported on this person's W-2, and the 1099 was also issued in error by the institution. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to respond to this thing within the due date. Actually, this particular notice was dated February the 17th, and the taxpayer obtained a 60-day extension on her own. And you could probably get an extension beyond that. So then we're going to have to go ahead and correct the return. The income was actually reported. It just wasn't reported correctly. The taxpayer went ahead and filed her own return. This is the contact information, that page. Let's go back to that real quick. On that page, the IRS just wants to ensure that they have your correct address and whatnot. And not sure how, but that's just the options page again. And that's the address again. So you can see there's a lot of duplication there. And this is the actual beginning of the pages where the taxpayer or the IRS, go back to there, the IRS says this is the income that we feel that you left off. So that will have to be fixed in this particular case, and then we can move forward. Now, in the past, the IRS has actually, even if the taxpayer ignored this or was not responsive to this, or the IRS would go ahead and assess the tax, I actually feel that that's wrong under the law, that that's not what they're entitled to do. In my opinion, the proper procedural framework for this would be for the IRS to issue a notice of deficiency, which would be your ticket to tax court so that you could continue to fight this assessment. This is not a mathematical error type situation. in which the IRS would be entitled to simply go ahead and assess the tax penalty and interest without your approval automatically. In a mathematical error where you've actually just added or subtracted incorrectly, or possibly multiplied or divided, I suppose, then the IRS can just fix that math error, assess whatever tax there is, and move on. Congress put that in the statute so that, de minimis minor errors could be changed. This is not a minor error type situation. So in my opinion, the IRS should issue you a notice of deficiency, and if you continue to disagree, then you would have your right to go ahead and argue about this in tax court. So this is the form. If you're Googling this is going to look something like the form that you have if you have a CP 2000. This page 11 on this particular one talks about different items, different errors that were in this case, or that in their opinion, and we were able to piece this thing together and come up with a response that's going to be appropriate. Many times, if we're able to get on the case at this stage of the game, and there's a CP 2000, many times we're able to actually solve the problem, but without taxes being assessed for a much lower fee than if we wait until this thing is already sort of blown up in our face. So it's going to be really important that you be timely when you deal with a CP 2000, and make sure that you respond within the due dates. If not, if you don't respond, or let's say they mail this thing to your last known address, but you've moved since then and you never get it, then you're still probably going to have a right to file a tax court petition where it might actually behoove you to go ahead and fight that. So that's about it. That's about all I have with regard to the CP 2000. It's really a rather simple, straightforward form to those of us who do this on a daily basis. If you'd like some help dealing with your CP 2000, I would encourage you to give us a call at 813-229-7100, or you can call us toll-free. We represent clients throughout the United States and, in fact, around the world. You can reach us toll-free at 888-438-6474, or feel free to visit our website at getirshelp.com. I'm Darren Mish, and on behalf of everyone here at the firm, thanks for watching.